prayer, followed by the pledge of allegiance to our flag. Our Father, who art in heaven, as a body we congregate in this council chamber for the betterment of our fellow citizens, lead us that we may do all things well. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Taberky?
Present.
Mr. Brickwig?
Here.
Ms. Hausfeld?
Here.
Mr. Bob Culbertson?
Here.
Ms. Bettinghouse is absent. Mr. Ray Culbertson?
Here.
And Mr. Schildmeyer.
Present.
Let the record show that 6 members are present, 1 member is absent. Members of council, what is your pleasure on the reading of the last minute?
Mr. President,
Mr. Taberky?
make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Motion by Mr. Taberky, seconded by Ms. Hausfeld to dispense with the reading of the last minutes. Are there any remarks? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Members of council, are there any errors or corrections to the minutes as submitted? If not, the minutes will stand as submitted. Move to reports of city officials, mayors.
Thank you, Mr. President.
What did you figure off?
Do what? No, don't push it. There. Oh, okay, turn it up. There we go. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start by thanking our awesome Recreation Department for organizing another great Halloween campout. The weather was not overly cooperative, but a little rain did not affect the awesome turnout for the community tent or treat event on Saturday evening. There were so many great costumes and lots of great prizes for their efforts. So thank you to our community for showing up. We will keep the great events coming. Trick-or-treat in the village of St. Bernard will be held on Tuesday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Please remember to vote on Tuesday, November 7th. Polls open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the main hall of the municipal building at 120 Washington Avenue. The senior shuttle will be available to all residents who need a ride to the polls from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and it will be free of charge. Please call 513-227-9925. This evening, I'd like to discuss the contract for the Service Department and then ask for a motion to place ordinance number 34 to be on the agenda to be voted on this evening. So while it's my turn, if I can just run through this. So as noted on the front page of the contract, all changes in red are marked on the specific pages. Page 11 just added step siblings for funeral leave. Page 14 increased sick time payout from 250 to 400 hours. On page number 18, under commercial driver's license, so there is now a $500 annual incentive pay for the CDL license, and then we have created a new position, or basically for CDL program coordinator, who would then get a $1,500 stipend, and of course the $500 stipend for maintaining certification. Just so you're aware, again, the coordinator is responsible for all training and records management for both personnel and qualifying vehicles that require a CDL for operations. So this is a worthwhile appointment, doing the training in-house, and we are requiring that it be held or done in-house as well. Page 27 basically just designates that wages paid to employees in classifications covered by this agreement are set forth as follows. There shall be a 3.5% raise for 2023 and 2024 for those hired before December 31st, 2014, and a 4.5% raise for those for 2023 and 2024 for those hired after January 1 of 2015. Those that are any kind of step program may have received a bump higher than your percentage that is guaranteed and is identified in your pay scale as new. Any employee in the STEP program is only entitled to receive a raise on their anniversary date and not at the beginning of the calendar year. Page 28, of course, stipulates that this agreement shall be enforced in effect from July 31, 2023. We are backdating this because this did take longer than normal. Also, again, the employees hired before the 2014 date will be offered retroactive pay. Those after the 2015 date, their raise will be effective as of today upon agreement of the contract if approved. And the pay scale is, of course, on the last page, which gives the breakdown of the wages for each of the individual positions. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Berkey.
make a motion to put ordinance 34 on the table tonight.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
A motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Ms. Houseboat to place ordinance number 34, 2023 on the table. Are there any remarks? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Sorry. That concludes my report.
Auditor, Ms. Brickwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight on the agenda is ordinance 33, 2023. This ordinance directs the auditor to transfer funds and provide additional appropriations. We are transferring $1,600,000 from the general fund transfer out, with $200,000 going into capital improvements cash account, $600,000 going into general bond retirement cash account, and $800,000 going into employee health plan cash account. The following are additional appropriations: 2K2 miscellaneous, $8,000; 2K8 utilities, $45,000; 202B part-time seasonal, $15,000; 2010 park maintenance, $10,000; 01-62 Medicare, $5,000; 6A1 police, $52,000; 6A20 police pension, $10,140; 7A1 fire, $80,000; 7A1A fire overtime, $40,000; and 7A20 fire pension, $19,200. If you can remember, the police pension, the fire, and the fire pension are all the grant that they went out for, and we will get reimbursed after we pay them, but we had to increase the pension because we will be covering that portion. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Director of Law, Ms. Van Valkenburg.
Thank you. We were planning on having a Lost Tracks and Claims Committee earlier this week, yesterday, but it had to be rescheduled. We'll coordinate with the members and get that on hopefully sometime next month. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Treasurer, Mr. Ryan.
Sorry. First State Bank, we received a statement down there at the end of last month. It totaled $5,682.34. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Safety and Service Director, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. President. The pavilion roof is well underway. The audio system is good to go. Thanks to all involved and council for approving the funds to complete it. We will continue with the street renovations throughout the village. Grants have been given for this type of work to be completed. Please be patient as the contractors are entering their busy season and we are not the first on their list. Seems everything takes time. To my community, you follow your path that appears to be laid out for you. As you take a breather, you look back at the way you have traversed this path. It becomes apparent that it is not all smooth treading, yet you feel an appreciation for what you have accomplished. Now you are refreshed and peer towards the ongoing trail. It looks not too much different than what you have been enduring. So take some solace in your experience and move with more confidence and peace. After all, it's just life, so live it. That completes my report.
Thank you. Tax Administrator, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a recap of September 2023's tax receipts. Tax collection for September was $832,225. September of 2023 is down 67% from September of 2022. Delinquent tax collected with capital recovery was $1,791. Delinquent tax collected with the Ohio Attorney General's office was $4,757. The January through September 2023 tax collections are $7,843,764. Just a reminder, the 2022 tax year extensions were over on October 15th. There are 800 residents who have still not filed a 2022 tax return for St. Bernard. The tax office will be contacting those residents beginning in November. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll move to reports of standing committees. Finance, Mr. DeBerke.
No report.
Thank you. Safety, Mr. Brickway.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight I have the September Police Department monthly report. For the month of September, the Police Department had 645 total contacts involving 868 calls for service. There were an additional 571 other services or details that were not necessarily called in by the public. These calls for service included 46 total criminal offenses, resulting in 99 criminal arrests. There were 74 traffic citations, as well as 129 traffic warnings. Of all these traffic contacts, 55 were for speeding violations. They responded to 20 accidents as well. Also, if you are interested in proudly showing your support for your police department, yard signs are available for pickup at the Safety Center. Just call 513-242-2727 and let them know you're interested, and they will have them ready for you in the lobby. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Service, Ms. Hackett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight I have the Service Department report for September 2023. There were 21 trucks placed at residence, 18 dumpsters placed at residence, 140 special pickups at residence, 134.52 tons of garbage taken to the landfill. As far as the recycling report, there were 29.78 tons of recycling material, 2 car batteries, 4,000 pounds of scrap metal, and 4 tires. And also the waste collection fee for the month of August 2023, the amount of $27,012.65 was remitted to the village. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public improvements, Mr. Bob Culbertson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The CIC met this past Tuesday to discuss, continue the discussions about the property development down at the square. I encourage those who are interested to attend the next CIC meeting to hear more on November 28th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Marketing, Mr. Ray Culbertson.
Thanks, Mr. President. The village will be hosting a Bengals tailgate party in the pavilion this Sunday, October 29th, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Bring a chair, bring your cooler, and the rec department will provide food off the grill. Come on down and cheer for the Bengals to whip the 49ers this Sunday. Also on Sunday, Emmanuel United Church of Christ is having their Family Fall Festival. Again, that's this Sunday, October 29th, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. This event has been moved indoors. The event features crafts, vendors, food, drinks, raffle baskets, games, activities, and a kid-friendly trick-or-treat. And lastly, I'd like to wish good luck to the St. Bernard Elmwood Place Titans and the Roger Bacon Spartans, who both have football playoff games this coming weekend. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Business and Industry, Mr. Schultmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got the Building and Zoning Department report for August 2023. As far as building activities, there were 7 residential permits issued. There were 6 commercial permits issued. The total fees for residential permits was $1,210.08. The total fees for commercial permits was $1,483.74. Amount paid back to the treasurer of the state of Ohio for residential permits was $12.10. The amount paid back to the treasurer for the state of Ohio for commercial was $44.52. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Committee of the Whole, Ms. Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Minutes were submitted October 24th, and I have no communications this evening.
Thank you. With that, clerk, if you could give the first reading of ordinance number 33, 2023.
Ordinance number 33, 2023, authorizing and directing the auditor to transfer funds and provide additional appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Members of council, you've heard the first reading of ordinance number 33, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke.
make a motion to dispense with second and third reading, ordinance 33.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Mr. Ray Culbertson, to suspend with the second and third reading of ordinance number 33, 2023. Are there any remarks? If not, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on ordinance 33, 2023? Not, clerk, will you please call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Teberke?
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig?
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld?
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson?
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schildmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Members of council, what is your pleasure on adoption?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke.
make a motion to adopt ordinance number 33, 2023.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
A motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Ms. Hausfeld to adopt ordinance 33, 2023. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Ordinance number 33, 2023 is adopted as read. Clerk, will you please give the first reading of ordinance 34, 2023?
Ordinance number 34, 2023, accepting and approving the terms of employment made by and between the Village of St. Bernard and St. Bernard Service Department Association and declaring an emergency.
Members of council, you've heard the first reading of ordinance number 34, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke?
make a motion to suspend the second and third reading of ordinance 34, 2023.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Ms. Hausfeld to suspend with the second and third reading of ordinance number 34, 2023. Is there any remarks? Not, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on ordinance 34, 2023? Not, clerk, will you please call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Members of council, what is your pleasure on adoption?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke?
make a motion to adopt ordinance 34, 2023.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Mr. Ray Culbertson to adopt ordinance number 34, 2023. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Ordinance number 34, 2023 is adopted as read. Clerk, will you please give the first reading of ordinance number 35, 2023?
Ordinance number 35, 2023, an ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with John R. Jurgensen Company and declaring an emergency.
Members of council, you've heard the first reading of ordinance number 35, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke?
make a motion to suspend second and third readings of ordinance 35, 2023.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
A motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Ms. Hausfeld to suspend the second and third reading of ordinance number 35, 2023. Are there any remarks? Not, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on ordinance 35? Not, clerk, will you please call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Members of council, what is your pleasure on adoption?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke?
make a motion to adopt ordinance 35, 2023.
Second it.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Mr. Ray Culbertson to adopt ordinance number 35, 2023. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Ordinance number 35, 2023 is adopted as read. Clerk, will you please give the first reading of ordinance number 36, 2023?
Ordinance number 36, 2023, an ordinance approving and the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of St. Bernard, Ohio, revising the traffic and general offenses codes to comply with state law and declaring an emergency.
Members of council, you've heard the first reading of ordinance number 36, 2023. What is your pleasure?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke?
make a motion to suspend the second and third readings of ordinance 36, 2023.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, seconded by Ms. Hausfeld to suspend with the second and third reading of ordinance 36, 2023. Are there any remarks? Not, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council on ordinance 36, 2023?
I got a Sapana school open.
Mr. Tom, this is remarks on ordinance 36. Do you want to talk under audience or on the ordinance? In the audience?
Yes.
Okay, it'll just be another minute or two. Hold that thought. Any other remarks on ordinance 36? If not, clerk, will you please call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Turkey,
Aye.
Mr. Brickwig,
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld,
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson,
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson,
Aye.
and Mr. Schultmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Members of council, what is your pleasure on adoption?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke.
make a motion to adopt ordinance 36, 2023.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. DeBerke, second by Mr. Ray Culbertson to adopt ordinance 36, 2023. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Taberky?
Aye.
Mr. Brickway?
Aye.
Ms. Hausfeld?
Aye.
Mr. Bob Culbertson?
Aye.
Mr. Ray Culbertson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schulmeyer.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Ordinance number 36, 2023 is adopted as read. At this time, does anyone on council have anything under old business?
Mr. President,
Mr. DeBerke.
I'd like to put on the table for, could be the whole meeting, to discuss raises for the city clerk and all the other full-time people who didn't get raises that we gave out, what, May, June? And also, just throw the idea out there, discuss it, could be the whole, on the police and fire, got the COVID bonuses through a grant. But we had the service department work throughout the whole time, and people at City Hall worked throughout the whole pandemic. I was wondering if we can take some money out of the treasury and put some money into their pockets, the fire and police got.
On the agenda. Anyone else under old business? Does anyone on council have anything under new business? If not, now Mr. Fox, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council tonight? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Task Force 309 Jackson. Sapana School, open, what?
Mr. President,
Mayor.
the new school is supposed to be open after the Christmas break. That is the intent. So does that answer your question? That they're supposed to be moving, and actually after the long Christmas break between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're supposed to be making the move and transitioning into the new building?
Yes. About, hi, how many day, was,
Halloween Day, are we closed?
yeah,
No. The City Hall will be open on Halloween Day.
yeah, backward, yeah, bunch, leaf,
Bunch of leaves in your backyard?
yes,
Okay. I'll get with your brother Dan and make him rake them out. Sound good?
yes. One more thing. About, how many, event in the Eagles, and not, DJ,
Okay, maybe a DJ?
no,
No?
There's an event at the Eagles with a DJ? Is that what you're trying to say?
yes.
Are you talking about their Halloween party where they're having a DJ?
No,
No DJ.
So you're petitioning to council to get the DJ?
yes.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I'll get on Dan.
A Ray Carson, told me, Foxy Park, Bangles and
Tailgate party?
chicken party,
Yep.
yeah, food, drink, and cornhole.
Not sure about cornhole.
Mr. President, I'm sure we can pull out some cornhole boards, but we will have the grill going. we'll have bottled water, but if you want anything other than water, you need to bring your own cooler and definitely bring a chair. But yes, we'll have food.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy.
Anyone else in the audience wishing to address council? Please state your name and address for the record.
Matthew Durbin, 36 Baker. I just want to comment about the last meeting, the committee of the whole meeting. I sensed some very unprofessionalism during that meeting, raising of voices, going back and forth with the resident. And I also noted that you refused to allow any other resident speak after that resident. You instantly skipped over anybody else's public comments. I felt that was very unprofessional. Also, what's the status of Ordinance 31? The one that was supposed to be discussed at the special meeting.
I was not at the special council meeting, I was on vacation, but from what
It was
I believe
passed.
it was passed 7-0.
Oh, that's interesting, because that was passed during a committee of the whole meeting. The council meeting was never started.
It was a
Yep.
special council meeting.
Yeah, that meeting was never started, because the committee of the whole meeting was never ended. You never started the council meeting, because you were supposed to go into executive session before.
So that was not your job.
That's fine, I'll just pass it up chain of command of the Village of St. Bernard.
Mr. President?
Ms. Van Botten.
Yes, the meeting was adjourned, the committee of the whole meeting was,
Pause.
brought to not to a close, but was halted so that we could go into the special council meeting at the time it was set for and publicized as, so that we were complying with that. It did pass at that time. After which, that was ended, and we reconvened and continued on with the committee of the whole, committee of the whole.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address council? Please state your name and address for the record.
Benjamin Fraley, 4511 Park Place. Just a few questions. First, I actually would like to echo the sentiments of my fellow citizen. I was at the council meeting last time, and there was a distinct, lack of etiquette, in my opinion, when it comes to discourse amongst the community, regardless of how you feel about my fellow citizens' opinions on certain matters. I think we all have a right to speak. It encourages participation in this wonderful thing we call democracy. And I think that shutting down discourse for personal reasons, vendetta reasons, however you want to frame it, is inherently antithetical to democratic purposes and, in fact, discourages discourse and involvement amongst citizens. Just a point I'd like to make. Secondly, this is more of a procedural question. A number of ordinances were passed this evening, all of which appeared to be an emergency declaration as well. Is there a reason for consistent emergency declarations? Because it sounds like if everything's an emergency, nothing's an emergency.
So the reason that the emergency clause is in there, so that the ordinance takes effect sooner than waiting 30 days for it to take effect.
Okay.
So if we didn't have the emergency clause in there, it would take a whole month before anything that we pass would take effect. Excuse me, so that's why the emergency clause is put on the ordinance.
Wouldn't it be more beneficial to just change the time frame in which the ordinances apply as opposed to having to announce everything as an emergency? If that's possible.
Some things come up and need to be passed. where
Gotcha.
You can't figure out 3 months ahead of time to pass
Gotcha.
certain things. So
Right, again, of course, that makes sense. And then, I guess, is there any potential for improvement in communication to citizens about emergency objects coming up or emergency ordinances that need to be passed? Again, an email or a phone call, I think, would do well. And again, that would also encourage participation from citizens at the risk of potentially hindering your involvement and your attempts to get it passed as well. I understand that.
Just FYI, so every ordinance is discussed at the
Mhm.
committee of the whole.
Okay.
That committee of the whole agenda is set for Tuesday, so if the committee of the whole is on the second Thursday of the month, so on that Tuesday afternoon, the committee of the whole agenda is given to the clerk. She puts it on the village website.
Okay.
And then every council member has it. So the committee of the whole is where most ordinances are discussed and you put on the table. So those are the meetings where all this discussion happens, so that we simply come in and pass the bill.
Okay, good. And if I may make a suggestion, if you could include those possibly in a newsletter or the newsletter that goes out via email, I also think that would be a good option too, if, again, possible and, of course, within reason as well.
Saying the past ordinances?
Yeah, or just ordinances that are going to be upcoming and discussed if possible too. But again, at that point, timeframes might conflict, so understandable. Lastly, I guess this is another more procedural question. Do you all follow Robert's Rules of Order, or what is the actual procedure for conducting these meetings? I think that's important for citizens to understand as well.
We have a rules of council that council passed that we abide by.
Okay.
They were formulated pretty much from Robert's rules.
Okay.
So that they are referred to in our rules of council.
Okay, and is that also publicly available to citizens as well?
The rules of council?
Yes.
Yes, that is a public record.
Okay.
The clerk has a copy of them.
Okay, fantastic. Awesome, thank you. Last thing, talking a lot tonight, I know, so I apologize, and I do appreciate your patience. If it's possible, maybe work on getting the microphones operational. I like to think I have pretty good hearing, and I have an often hard time hearing council discuss options, and again, at the risk of sounding kind of crass, it's hard for some people to hear, and it might be beneficial for other people to have better operating microphones in order to hear as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to address council? If not, just so you can mark your calendars, the November council meeting will be moved to Tuesday, November 21st at 7 p.m. because of Thanksgiving on that Thursday. But the next committee of the whole is Thursday, November 9th at 7 p.m. This time, Strickland.
I'm sorry. I guess I will address both of you because I'm sure you're looking at me about the. That's okay. That's okay. But it was me, and afterwards I thought to myself I was a little rough. And when I see Mr. Lair, I will apologize. He usually comes in once or twice a week, but I have not seen him yet. But I think part of the issue in that meeting, and she did her best, is Cindy sat in she ran the meeting, and usually somebody would not be able to be up there for more than 5 minutes, and he was probably up there for 10 minutes just asking questions over questions, and it was just to the point where they were being answered, but nothing was getting done. And I will say that ordinance, have we been discussing that about a year now? And it was like we went to, the people on the committee went to the service department, they went to the service director, they went to the police, and they checked everything out and did the best they could. And it was just somewhat frustrating on my part personally, and I realized it afterward, is when everybody keeps saying an if, and if the leaves blow into the street, am I going to get a ticket? And it was like, and nobody was addressing it. So I will apologize to him, but I think in the future, when Steve knows after 5 minutes, but I felt like we were not going to get anywhere that night unless, and I don't believe that Cindy anywhere near purposely didn't let anybody speak, because I saw that on Facebook. That did not happen. That was a mistake, a human mistake. She would never do that. And when I saw that and people ripping that she did it on purpose, and I'm sure when she's here she will say that she did not. It was just a lot of emotion that night, and we felt like we were running around in a circle. So for that, I apologize.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, make motion to excuse yes, the member first.
Thank you. Make a motion to excuse the after member. Motion by Mr. DeBerke, second by Mr. Rob Culbertson, to excuse the after member. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Mr. Ray Culbertson.
make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that, Mr. President.
Motion by Mr. Ray Culbertson, second by Mrs. Houseboat to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.